The recurved Z spring is a double Z spring. Begin with the planning of the cast. The recurved Z spring represent the active arm, represent the collective mesiodistal width of the four incisors at the contact area. Here is represent the dimension of the active arm, which represent the collective mesiodistal width of the anterior teeth or the incisors. First of all, begin with a smooth curve to follow the curvature of the arch at the anterior area by your thumb and finger. Smooth curve to be adapted to the palatal surface of the anterior teeth. Here. Then begin with the first coil. The first coil should be the outer coil. The outer coil should be upward in relation to the active arm. So here, this is the retentive tag and this is the active arm. The outer coil, before you making the outer coil, you have to put your wire perpendicular to the player in a horizontal plane, and the coil should be upward in relation to the active arm. Flipping your player at the same level or the horizontal level, like this. When flipping your player, you have to assure that the wire is horizontally, not tilting down or up. Okay? Here is your first outer coil. Here you can see the active arm is down, the first outer coil is up, and the retentive tag. Now, the dimension of the active arm should be measured to be the collective mesiodistal width of the four anterior incisors. That means this is the position of the second coil. Okay? This is the position of the second coil. Now, the marking is out, the wire perpendicular, the first coil is horizontal, the marking is out, make a small trial bend, and now after a small trial bend, check the mesiodistal width of the active arm. Now when it's okay, you can continue with the second outer coil of the recurved spring. By the same principle of the first coil, the active arm perpendicular, the first coil should be horizontal, not flipping down or flipping up. The first coil is horizontal and making your second outer coil up or upward in relation to the active arm. Now, when flipping your player again, horizontally, the first coil in the same plane, and complete the two outer coils. Sometime when you're making the two coils, you find the active arm is not curved or losing the curvature of the active arm. So here you can make a soft bend here to be adapted to the labial surface, to the palatal surface of the 4 anterior incisors. Now, how make the 2 inner coils? First of all, the 2 inner coils should be intersect at the midline between 2 central incisors. This is the midline of the 2 central incisors. Okay? To make the first inner coil, closing the outer coil like this to be intersected with this point. Okay? At the point of intersection between the active arm and retentive tag, you have to make your marking. This is your marking. Okay? Now, the coil should be opposite in direction and level to the first outer coil. The round beak toward you and the marking is out. Okay? Now, to make a space between the 2 inner coil, the space between the 2 inner coils should be 1 millimeter. So I have to adjust my plier to be 0.5 millimeter from the marking. Okay? To create a space between the 2 inner coils. Now, the wire perpendicular, the outer coil horizontal, and make your coil. The coil should be down in relation to the first coil. Adjust the level. Now how it is, this downward in relation to the first coil, flipping your plier. Confirm the level of the outer coil should be horizontal to be not rotated the coil downward, and here flipping and confirm the outer coil should be horizontal always when you making the coil, and complete my inner coil. This is here you have the outer coil and inner coil. The outer coil is upward in relation to the active arm, and the inner coil is downward, and here is the retentive tag. You either complete the left side with the zigzag, then to the right side, or you can make the second inner coil. First should be intersect with the midline. This is the line of intersection. Now marking. After marking, the round beak toward you. Here is the marking, and should be change the position of the plier 0.5 millimeter from the marking. This is the 0.5 millimeter. Okay. The outer coil should be horizontal, and making the second inner coil. This is the second inner coil. Again, the outer coil should be horizontal, and it's okay. When making the inner coil, you have always to make the outer coil horizontal. Okay. This is your 2 inner coil, and here the 1 millimeter space between the 2 inner coil. Before making the retentive tag, you have to closing the outer coil like this to be passive, and the other side should be closed to be also passive. Now you find the level of the active arm and the four coils are horizontal. The retentive tag should be vertical. Vertical, the half distance between the two coils of the active arm here should be bent downward with a small U like this. Horizontal, the U is vertical. Now from the inner part of the U loop, make the zigzag by like this. Vertical, right angle bend, one, first zigzag from the inner, two, from the inner side of the right angle bend, three, and now this is your zigzag. You can find the zigzag is not parallel to the mid-parietal suture, so from the first part here, this is the zigzag. The other side, the zigzag is vertical, or the retentive tag vertically, while the two coils and the active arm is horizontally rest on the cingulum of the anterior teeth. The other side, by the same method, this is the retentive tag. The midpoint between the two coils at this point, you can make a vertical bend, and with the vertical bend, small U loop here to give a space to the recurve the spring, and now you make a right angle bend and begin with your zigzag.
الكراس هذا الديزاين مالته
Yes.
يدفع السن ليبيالي ولا لينجوالي؟
Labially. From the lingual side to the labial.
من اللينجوال للليبيال.
From the
بالعكس لللينجوال هذا.
another spring, which is the Howley arch. Mezzo distally, that's finger spring. Mezzo distally, only the modified Z spring for single tooth. But mezzo distally, you have to choosing the finger spring. Here is the recurve the spring, how it is located on or rest on the cingulum of the anterior teeth. Cutting the axis. Rest on the cingulum at this manner. This is the recurve the spring. Okay.